welcome back, and we are moving into a second conversation for today. We're shifting focus now, and we're talking about autism. It is Autism Awareness Month globally, and we have with us Tiffany Simpson, who's an entrepreneur but also a mother of an autistic boy. Yes. He's not with us today. He's back at school, you know. Yes. But good morning, Tiffany, and welcome.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Yes. Autism is a topic I think that we really don't allow ourselves to talk about enough, and I think with the work you have done and the way you've spoken about it so openly, it allows us to have more people become aware, and also opens the opportunity for others to learn how to work with their children as well. Let's just take a step back into your own personal experience in working with your child who's autistic.
Yes, so as you all know, or may not, if you're new to the story, my son was diagnosed at age 3, and it was during this challenge that I taught myself to create computer games and mobile apps to help him to develop his speech and his social skills. Now, if you don't know a lot about autism, there isn't anywhere I can begin during this segment, but with his diagnosis, he had trouble with his speech. His speech was not developing. In fact, it started to develop just a little bit. He was able to say words, and then he started to forget. And then it went on like that for some time. He would start speaking again, and then he would forget those words. And then I think when he was almost 4 years old, then it was just babbling like baby. And I was saying to myself that this probably is just tight tongue, but it's not making any sense, you know, because he was saying words. And I tried to give a logical explanation for the issue. And it was a family friend that told me, you know, your son has autism and you should go and see Dr. Eck. And I pondered for like 2 weeks, because I thought to myself, you know, once I go to Dr. Eck, whatever he says, that's it, right? So it took me like 2 weeks to pick up the courage to go and see Dr. Eck. And as soon as we got into his office, my son, he has this table where he does his inspection. Well, there are some drawers on the table, right? And my son pulled them out, like to create a stairs, and just climbed on. Oh. He's like, "Yep, he's autistic." Yeah, and I said, "Okay, fine. You know, I'll accept that." Yeah. But there were other aspects of his development that seemed to be a little bit more advanced than other kids. Like, for instance, at age 2, he was riding his bike without training wheels, right? And nobody taught him. But he couldn't speak, at least not audibly. So Dr. Eck gave me the usual speech, right? I guess those are the things that he usually tells parents once their children are diagnosed, what to expect. You know, the behavioral issues attached to not being able to verbalize or express yourself verbally, you know, the tantrums, and then of course autism doesn't have a look. Yeah. So it doesn't make it easy for you as a parent to get the support you need in getting your child to especially in social settings where they're not necessarily centered. It's very difficult to get the support of others to calm them down. They usually escalate the situation because they believe that it's something that
they think they're just being rude.
Yes, they're just being a rude child. So it was very difficult, very, very difficult, having to take him anywhere. Being cut off from society, so to speak, because as you go out and as people are aware of the situation and not aware of the condition and how it manifests itself, it creates like this barrier where, you know, you're starting to find yourself isolated from everybody, right?
So, being that you are a developer,
Right.
you decided to take the skill set that you have and create something to help you, or to help your child really, to learn to talk.
Well, actually, I wasn't a developer starting out.
Yeah, you weren't a developer at that phase.
time,
This
no,
is what led you
led
to it?
Yes. So I realized that we were trapped, right? And I was raising him on my own, and it became increasingly difficult for us to just to integrate into society. So I started with the cell phone on my camera. This was before the development. I started with the cell phone on my camera, and I would record my mouth while saying words to, while saying words he should be saying at his age, his name, my name, stuff like that. And I recorded it, and I would have him sit for hours and watch the videos. And I think it took like 4 months, but he started to say his name. And we were on to something. So
No, you can't just. You gotta tell us, like, I mean, what was your reaction? You went from being told that your son would be nonverbal, as some autistic children are.
Right. And then one day.
At what age?
He was 4.
Wow.
Yes, he was 4.
Yeah.
And he said his name. It took 4 months.
Did you ever, this must have been emotionally taxing.
Yes.
I'm sure many nights you lied down and probably cried, you prayed.
Yes.
Was there any point in time you gave up? And what caused you, apart from just loving this very intelligent, articulate child that I met, what made you persevere beyond just love for him?
I think the first thing I did, I asked God to show me where to apply my faith. I knew I had to do something. I knew nothing was going to drop out of the sky. There wasn't going, you know, just magically one day something was going to happen that was going to turn the situation around. But I needed a turnaround. And I think my nature as an individual is not to want to feel trapped, not to want to have that feeling of my back being against a wall. And I think it is that started to propel me forward, knowing that I didn't have another option. This was either going to be the rest of my life, or I was going to come out swinging. And so I came out swinging.
Good job.
And I've been swinging ever since. So yes, he started to say his name, and then he started to say all the words he knew, but with that tonation, like he was having a conversation. So I knew that he was starting to outgrow the little videos. And then it was confirmed once he went to school, and he was asked, "What's the name of your school?" And he would say his name. So, okay, he's only processing the word name in the sentence.
Yeah.
So I needed to help him, because for him it's all memorized. He just hears certain words and then he knows, he has a response for it. And so that's when the idea came to me, if I could create some computer games, because he was very good with the computer. I could help him to see the variation in the sentence structures and kind of help him to further develop his communication. So my degree is in math and physics. I was on my way to being an engineer, and I never had any formal computer training. So I thought to myself, how would I be able to build some computer games in a very short space of time? So I went to YouTube, and there was this boy, actually, I think he was 8 years old, and he is creating games using Adobe Flash Professional. And so I took some of his tutorials, and I think I might have figured out the rest somewhere along the line. But for some strange reason, it made sense once I knew once I got to see the back end and you know, how the workflow happens. So I think it took me like 4 weeks, and I created my first game, and he liked it. And so I started to create more games, and I think he started to learn even faster with the games, because it was almost like instantaneous. You know, once he went through it once, that was it. In
terms of, you know, the average Belizean doesn't have one child.
Yes.
And, you know, I'm just here thinking, I have 2 children, 2 beautiful daughters. And, you know, it appears that a child with autism takes a lot more attention and time to give them that foot up, as you did.
Yes.
Is there any advice you give to somebody who has maybe 2 children, and you know, one is autistic, and you know, I just don't have the support, I don't have the personality, the endurance of Tiffany? What can they do?
That's yes, I know. Yeah, I know. And it's a very unfortunate situation. And you have to have support.
Yeah.
You have to have support. I didn't have the kind of support I needed, and I came up with some solutions. But, and I would say this, it goes both ways, because the thing is, had I had support, it probably would have enabled us to stay in that exact same situation. And because now, you know, we've been on the show, I've been on the show with my son, who is also a programmer, and he's 10 years old.
With his games,
yes. Cool. He has his own business, and you know, those solutions came out of need. Yeah. Right? So
it's a blessing in disguise.
Yes. When you don't need anything, right? You're not necessarily pushed to that point where you come up with solutions, right? Now, there's also a flip side, because there are people who, when they're pushed, they start to fall off, right? So it's trying, and it's also mindset and the people you hang around, right? Because I remember once I started to create these solutions for my son, I completely cut off everybody. There was no naysaying, there was no opinion to be had.
That's
there was nothing. I wasn't going to hear about you know, what I needed to do or who I needed to call or which expert was gonna I wasn't gonna have it. So to alleviate that situation, I just cut off everybody. And then I think like maybe 6 months later, they saw us with you know, this new and then it's the same with my son having his own business. The past year, I just cut off. Everybody. I started to homeschool him. And I wasn't going to have a discussion about what I was about to do.
And obviously, it is the recipe that works for you, and I think that is something that we can definitely admire. You know, Kevin obviously highlighting the fact that there are some families where there are multiple children. I know I've interviewed families, and it's interesting because the siblings become very important as advocates. Like, they would be the first to say, you know, he's autistic, or know how to interact.
Right.
So it's interesting to see the different dynamics. But of course, we can't, we're running out of time so quickly. And I don't want to miss the opportunity. So you created this app that helped your nonverbal autistic son speak. You know, and I think that's so powerful, because oftentimes we're given a diagnosis by doctors, not to say that they're wrong, but we just accept it. We don't work hard enough to change it. So
so recently, my son and I, we've developed a program called Speaking Autism, and it includes all the apps and techniques and programs we've used over the years to help him to develop his speech. And we are opening, or we have opened the program to members of the community who have family members who are coping with autism.
Yeah.
And it's a very dynamic program. We have hundreds of apps that help with the speech development and the social skills. And then every month we have an expert who comes in on live Facebook. Chat, yes, internationally, yes. And they give their, they would give their feedback.
Yeah. And
members would be able to ask questions, and they get answers. We have next week a nurse who she improved her son's autism with nutrition.
Oh.
Yes, and I think it has disappeared completely. Yeah. So there are different techniques that individuals were able to employ. And right now, because we're closing tomorrow, we have a promotion on our yearly membership, and it's $200 per year instead of $500. Yeah. Nice. And they get access to all the games.
It's very affordable.
Yes, yeah. And they also get personalized apps so that the child can help to say their own name, their mom's name, stuff like that. So among many other.
How do people get into this system? How do they join and get to experience all these different talks, access to the games? Where do they go?
The website is speakingautism.org, or they can call me at 600-1611. We have a membership sign-up page where you can pay with your credit card. But if you don't have a credit card, you could reach out to me by cell phone, and I can guide you through the process of paying for your membership, getting your account set up, and starting the process of helping your child. And then we have a well-developed system that helps the families to stay on track. We have a mobile app that reminds them to do their practice sessions, and then they're not able to move forward in the program until they're finished with specific assignments and stuff like that. And it's all automated. Yes.
So there you go, speakingautism.org.
Yes.
Check it out and show your support. Of course, there is a deal that people should take advantage of. That's a hefty discount.
Yes,
it's more than $10 a month.
Yes, it is.
So do take advantage of it. And of course, I think one of the things you've taught us, Tiffany, is just how your persistence in being able to work with your son and find a solution has really worked for you. And you know, we love having your son here as well. He's really a testament to how much these apps have worked for you. So we appreciate you coming in and telling us more about it.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by representatives of Belize Diesel as they talk about their 60th anniversary. Stay tuned.